Hello. So I'm having a little bit of a hairy moment, you know. So between the light in the back and the front, and so wanting to look a little better, I'm with looking like I'm having a cobweb of my hair. But if this makes you laugh, that's good. On that laughing note, today's topic is about 14 questions. Now I've been talking about many things in some time, yeah. And one of the things I discovered is that people have been shushed from asking questions. En route, I discovered kids. They ask, why is this so? What is this for? Lots of questions. They are bubbling with questions. And because the adults don't know the answer and they don't know to say, I don't know, because you ask anybody a direction, go this way, that way, everybody knows. The problem is kids end up thinking adults don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. Now, if you're one of those kids or adults who has a kid in them who has been shushed in some way, or in some way, shushed from asking questions, or you have had the thought somewhere that adults don't really know what they're talking about. Yeah, we are part of the human race. We're all in different stages of becoming better. And that one of those conditionals that's given rise to some of our human experiences, including our ability to ask questions, is what this episode is about. Okay? One of the things I discovered is that I used to love asking questions. Or rather, I would observe and then I would arrive at my conclusions. When I didn't know, I would ask questions. When I asked questions, either they told me something or they told me degrees of truth of the matter. True, it's about how true is what they're saying. And then, um, and then when I say encounter other people giving other information, then I would match between these different information and then say which is more true. And then I would say go to school, read textbooks, and then I will get some more information, bits of information, and then kind of link all that information and then see which is true, which is how much more true, and how much more there is to know about what is true. And over time, I discovered whom better to ask a question. Yeah. And then, so some questions are to be asked to books. Yeah. And there are many kinds of books. Some questions are to be asked to people who have been in that field since some time. So they're more likely to give some information than people who have only heard that name. And then there are some people uh, who would like to do good, but they don't want to disappoint you. So to protect your emotions, they give an answer. Yeah. So they're not really lying. They're not lying. They are preserving some aspect of you and the relationship and um, keep getting better. Yeah, not everybody knows all the answer, but everybody's trying to help. And then it's for us to discern which is which. Yeah. Yoga also calls it as contemplation, discernment, which is yellow, which is red. Yeah, over time we discern which is yellow, which is red, versus or red and reddish pink. Yeah. It's when we discover these different levels, different gradation, that our information becomes more refined. And what we eat, what we choose to do, they all get better. Our information gets better. That's also called knowledge. We know something and we stand on a certain knowing, like first standard, second standard. The third standard, we learn something else. So we step up. So our knowledge, our knowing ledge gets better. And then we stand on that. Sometimes we climb and we stand on a plateau, like on a landing on a staircase. And then those who are down, we kind of look down upon. Yeah, I don't have the time for you. Yeah, I know but I don't say I don't know. Yeah, go somewhere else. Or shoo. Yeah, or if it's a big question so that you are continuing to maintaining being the big person, you give some answer. Yeah, so you're continuing to be the knowing person. So these are all different coping mechanisms. Yeah. And you have different experiences of living depending on the size of your growth and what you've eaten, what they have eaten. So as you make better choices, your quality of your life also gets better. Yeah. And we have many departments. So new departments come from old department. You're doing good. We could do better. Yeah. And the new department tend to think the old department don't know. But you don't know what all the old department has been working on. Yeah. So respect the known and the unknown. And hold on to your magical hook, the question mark. And jot down your questions and see where best can you get the answers. There are answers to every question. It's when you seek them that, and you need to seek answers to the questions the way that is honorable, respectful, honorable, dignifiable for yourself and the topic you're inquiring about and whom you're asking. That there is humanity across boundaries, but also there is a student-teacher relationship. Yeah, where information is not just another bit of information, you put it anyhow together and you have a Lego piece of something. Sometimes information is just higgledy-piggledy put together. Yeah, a little bit of I can't say a schizophrenic construct of reality. Anyhow, higgledy-piggledy. Versus the way it needs to be, like a puzzle piece put together in such a way that then you see, oh, this is what the elephant was about. Otherwise, you're connecting the dots and then you arrive at a chicken when it's actually an elephant. Yeah. So that would not work so well. Yeah, you're not really seeing the point. Yeah. So hold on to your questions. And I recommend maintaining a book so you can jot down your bullet points of information, which small little words, bits of information. And over time, these bits connect and lead you to your next question or to your next answer or to that information, which then answers your first question or your second question. Yeah. So the questions lead to question, or questions lead to answer, or answers lead to answers, or answers lead to questions. Yeah. So this episode is about 14 questions. And I discovered is better checked your life from. You have information, you have different areas of life, but these are 14 questions which are better paid attention to. And when you're living your life, also based on these questions, your life takes shape in a wholesomer manner. Instead of being a flat character, become more round, like Earth, sphere. Okay, sphere, Earth is sphere. But flat, two-dimensional, or like a triangle, angle, sharp semblance, to more round, whole, or nicely rounded edges, a wholesome character. And then round can also be a sphere, depends on the angle of you're viewing from. Earth is a good, nice round. Yeah, we're all on this round sphere. So some people call the Brahma, or the idea of the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Brahma to have 14 forms. So healthy creatives require you to at least pay attention in terms of 14 questions. Now I'm referring to this. There's a movie called A Wrinkle in Time. And in that movie, Meg, protagonist, she's trying to solve a problem. Yeah. And she's helped by three questions, three people called Mrs., like Mr. Mrs. What, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Which. Yeah. And that got me thinking sometime back when I saw the movie on how these questions are not just questions, but paradigms of thinking. What makes something available that who doesn't? Why make something available that where doesn't? Which makes something available that how doesn't? Okay? So I've mentioned a few questions here. So I'm going to list 14 questions and a little bit of background on each of those questions. So you have a little bit of context, a little bit of understanding on why those questions and what's possible when you jot down information based on these questions. Okay, with that question as a topic, and then slowly figuring out different things, different information, different inquiries you have, curiosities, makes life better. Now, I recommend beginning with the question, or rather, so to speak, the topic of have. HAV. What do you have to begin with? Yeah, this is a question you're going to keep coming back. I call it as taking stock of things. It's good to take stock of what you have before looking for, I don't have a, I want that like this too. But you should first know what you have. Yeah. And oftentimes, a lot of times, what you have may also include that which you're seeking very dearly. I want that. Sometimes it's already there with you. Okay. So have is one topic, one heading. Another is what. What do you have? Or um, what is that you're dealing with? Or what is that you're about? The paradigm, the context called what? Okay. Another is who. Who are you? Who's who? Who are you what becoming next? Or who are you amongst all of those different people, different things? But that'll be which. Who is more related with person? Yeah. So there's a who, and then there's which or what. What is like things, but what is also a topic, object, objective. Could also be a subject, but it's more objectively seen as to what. Who is more a person? There's a certain subject aspect to it. Yeah. Then there is why. So there is this method of inquiry in TQM, or total quality management. They say the 5 whys. You ask a why, you ask one why. Okay, you want to do something, why do you want to do that? You find an answer, ask another why. Why that? You find another answer for that. Ask a why on that. So you slowly come to at least 5 levels deep on why you're doing what you're doing and why that versus anything. Or you could keep doing stuff and then you say, oh no, this is not the real reason why I'm doing this. And then you come to the next one. So you could come to it, that is if you're inquiring truthfully, or you could ask it now itself. So you can come to 5 levels and then when you're on your journey and then when you encounter, oh, this is the real reason why you're doing it. So you're going deeper into the matter. You come to the core of the matter. Yeah. Where you don't go any further down. Yeah, it's just there. This is the real reason why you're doing this, like rock solid why. Yeah, it's still good. Builds personal substance. But the journey into discovering that takes a little bit of work. For example, you have to do the right things. Yeah. Coming to the next question is where. It's time-based. Where are you is also geodecimal location, latitude, longitude, time-based, and also space-based. Yeah. So where you could say when is also there. When is also time-based. So do you see these questions are kind of related? So there is when is coming up, but where is more space, but has a relationship with time. Okay, but more, it's like a compass. One end you have the pencil, one end you have the point. The point is on the space, and there is the time aspect. Where? Next is which. Now, which is related with things or objective more than subjective. So, like what? Which of these are? So, you have a variety, you have a choice from which you arrive at which of it. Okay. Um, so, you could go by comparison, competition, and those kinds of things. So, which is important in that sense? So, there is no internal clashes when you're doing your activities. You don't come to internal clashes because there is so much of clarity. It is this very distinctly versus the other. So when you're making your choices, you could go with the five which, yeah, or 10 which. I would recommend try a 10, but you're instead of just going by the five, it could make things difficult, but at least come to five wise or five which or any of this. But don't stop until you at least come to 10 because it's like 10 layers deep. Yeah. It gets you to your soul wrenching stuff, but um, it will also bring forth some lies that you may be going, oh, these, yeah. Behind the covers, you're doing the stuff. And what you're hiding behind robs you of stuff you don't want to know. Yeah. Because then you will be at the receiving end and then you'll say, oh, I missed this. If you'd already done that, yeah, life would not have to give you oh, you missed this bit. Okay, I'm going to get another one, I think, because it's also called taking care of yourself. When you take care of yourself as the first relationship, your first relationship with yourself, and when you're being truthful and honest with yourself, you're more likely to be truthful and honest with people around you in your life. So get straight with yourself. So these questions help. 10 layers deep, good. But that doesn't mean you stay only with that. Not like, oh, 10 layers now, let's go another 10. No. Yeah. It's an ongoing process. But it's better to get to at least 10, but at least begin with 5 and start taking action, or at least write down stuff. Begin your research bit. When you come to your 5, check out to begin your research bit. Bit. And then it's quite serendipitous. Bitch. Yeah. That's like you have a payoff a little bit, so to speak. Yeah. This and this also kind. Yeah. And then you have variety. You may not be going to the essence of the matter. So 5 and then another 5 will get you less away. I mean, will get you away from the distractions. Because otherwise that 5 is there to distract you. And a little more to a little mm, could give rise to, which is also, well, they tend to call that because of the birthing, might birth interests that might distract you. That could also be, oh, this and this also, which is good. But let's just say when we are beginning, it's better to notice this fine little details before you could go into, um, oh, you know the stuff. Yeah. So keep the 10 in mind. And if you're all drawn to it's already good enough, so let's go. You're likely to discover the developments from there. Another 5 there, which questions were not asked. You're likely to discover all those new this, and then soon you might be handling with a lot of stuff. And then you'll come to, you should have asked, you could have done with the 10. You'll still come to the 10, but yeah, I'm repeating myself here. But um, this is also somewhere, place where I went a little off. So I'm telling from the learning of it. You could go to 5 recommend 10, but don't get stopped with actions. And the action is not with interacting with people, but with, say, writing, in your research work, whom you can ask these questions, or where you can find find answers to. So you have ideas emerging. Jot them down. Before you go in action with people, the action needs to be in your own surfaces. Okay? So I'm speaking this from experience, and then you also discover losses. Yeah? In the sense, you could have done something better. So I'm speaking a little bit from experience. Yeah? Now, which? So which of the varieties? Yeah? You have things emerging. So what are you doing? Which of the things? Then when is, again, I said, is related with where. Where when is the compass point? It's on time, and space is related. Yeah. And the next is whom. Now, whom is kind of related with the who bit. It's a little subjective, not so much objective. Yeah. It's more soft, rounder. So we have some sharps, the what, for example, more objective kind, sharps, and we have some blunts, little rounds. Whom. Now, how is whom different from who? Now, who are you becoming? Yeah, so it's a little more sharper subjective than the whom. Whom is like, whom have you come from? It's like, where have you come from? It's a little space, but it's also, whom are you related to? Whom are you interacting with? So it's a little space, but it's also has a little variety there. Versus who is on point there. It's a little more sharp. It's a little more specific. But whom is like which a little bit. So there's a variety. And who is like what, a little more specific. Next is whom for. Now, whom is also, for example, where are you coming from? Whom are you coming from? Whom are you related with? You didn't just drop out of the sky. So paying attention to whom all have kind of in some way given rise to who you are now. And consequently, whom are you related with? Which means it's like the flow of the river, where you come from and where are you going and what you're doing, whom all are affected by what you're doing. Whom is important. Next, whom for is who are you doing this for is like one specific. When we say whom, it's kind of like an area, I can't say market. That would be bad. That's not what I'm talking about. Whom all are affected by this, by what you're doing. Whom for are you doing? Now, in the work that I'm doing, I've been saying I'm doing this for me, contemporaries, and future generations. Yeah. And so what I'm doing affects all these people. So my thought lines, what I do, how I think, how fast I go or slow, and what's the pace at which I need to do things. They're all given by, affected by also the tension that's there in the whom for. And you will know when things are going a little off. This is what you're doing, and then this is how things are affected. And then you get stopped. Because it's like, these are people. These are not just, it's like Mrs. Who, Mrs. Which, Mrs. What. These are paradigms, contexts. Yeah. Whom you interact with. Yeah. And so, depending on your relationship with all these people, questions, 14 people, these are paradigms of thinking. Yeah. So, you kind of come to the center of the earth, and you got to live life knowing that there's a 360-degree effect of what you're doing. Yeah. So responsibility becomes more valuable. The idea of the dandelion head, yeah, where everything is connected with everything. So as a macrocosm, microcosm, macrocosm, you're related with, you're a drop of the ocean and the ocean in a drop. Yeah, over time you become who you are. You ask all of these questions out of you and then arrive to the soul searching. You're likely to come to, oh, this is who I am. So you wouldn't be just at the surface. You'll arrive at, oh, this is who I am. You come to an ocean or conscience from answering these questions. You become more substantial. You form more substance and not just, oh, just surface. I'm going to do a thing. I'm just going to talk to people, eat whatever I want to, and live however. No. Yeah. You become more, have a little more gravitas of the matter. Yeah. It's important. And then you can, of course, buffoon around, jump around, but you're not the same person, even for yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, your the work you've done, the conscience of who you are will look back at you and keep you grounded and not just fly off the handle. Yeah, so to speak. Now, um, whom for? Oh, now this bit is there. Whom for will also help you recognize who is judging you, how. Because what is also there is other than this. When you say whom for, other than that will also be known by you. You can kind of have a sense of, oh, you've excluded them. And that stands out as sharp. So then you can slowly include whom for, which is why these questions need to be asked regularly. Every new stage of life requires you to be a new you. Yeah. So when you're paying attention to these questions, it's a regular becoming factor. Yeah. So next question is where from? So you ask the question where. So where are you? Where are you going? Yeah. Where from is you didn't just drop out of the sky. You've been born, went to school, interact with different people, uh, ate some things, um, didn't eat some things, met some people. So where from are you? It could also be kind of like the story. You have your story, but it's also a little bit space-based, but it's also time-based. Where from? So it would help to write your story. Yeah. So you're keeping track of where from are you? Yeah. The history. So there's a lot of bit here. Next is where to. So related to where from. So you come from there, doing all your what you're doing. And where to? Where are you headed? Yeah. And when you regularly look for you're here, where are you headed? Then you can look, okay, I'm here. Is this where you want to be? Is this where you want to be all forever? Yeah. So that gives you that purview, that paradigm of thinking. And so when you have a reality check, these 14 questions help. Where to? Next is how. Now you have an idea of where from, where to. How are you going to get there? Yeah. It also comes with how are you? It's also a bit of a status quo check. How are you? And it's also how are you going to get there? Um, how do you arrive at this? So there's a certain flow chart, for example. Yeah. Um, so those thought lines, excuse me, become available with the question of how. Excuse me. I've also arrived at how is for health of wealth. So you have all of these questions, you have your answers, and there's a health of wealth. How healthy is what you have? You have, you keep asking. I said one of the questions is have, you check your status quo. And then you have to check for the health of what you have. How? Yeah. And then there is the question of the unknown. What is it you don't know? For example, NASA. Yeah, people are doing many kinds of things. Um, Cyber security. Yeah, how does a washing machine work? So there are things we know, there are things we don't know. There are things we don't know that we know. And there are things we don't know that we don't know. So keeping track of what you know and don't know helps you have a stabler footing, a stabler stand from which you live your life. Yeah. So keeping track of what you don't know is also important in your knowledge base. Like knowledge, know. There are things you know. It's when you know what you don't know and what you'd like to know amongst what you don't know is when you step up in what you're doing in life, why you're doing what you're doing. You have the questions there. Yeah. And how better you get and the health of wealth. How? Yeah. So you can do things anyhow. I don't think so. Yeah. Then it's like looking London, going Tokyo. Yeah. You want to get somewhere, having some other results. And then you're wondering, why am I having all of this? You have your questions. You can backtrack, trace them, where you come from. And then, oh, you didn't know this. Get back on the path. So keeping track, making your notes will help you discover, oh, there's a code correction. Your behavior needs to change. Maybe what you're eating needs to change. How you're interacting with people, or you need to train with something, or you need to learn certain things, or develop a discipline which you don't already have. Yeah, or invest where that is required, and then improve what you have. Keeping check of what you have, status quo, will let you know the directions, 14 directions. So the ShriChakra, there's a 14 triangle circle, the ShriChakra. So these will help you. These are 14 questions. The 14 triangle circle, the ShriChakra, each triangle has 3 sides. Health, wealth, wisdom. Could be one way to look at it, yeah? There are other ways to look at it. But this will help you in some way go beyond 7 cardinal sins. So you're more together, keeping it together. And that'll help you not lose it. Instead, become a humaner being. Yeah? Kinder, gentler, mindfuler, a human being. Human beings are creators, basically. We get bored and we do cranky things. Yeah? And if you notice you're being bored doing cranky things, create something. And these questions will help you. What better to work on? Because we're all creators, basically. Human beings are creating people, moving all the time, restless. Yeah. So we get restless when we're not creating something. And then it's not just create anything and everything. These questions help you create the right things. Because every effort at doing the right things counts in the large scheme of things. And you'll be getting better into becoming somebody worthy of watching out for, being looked up to, depending on how you're living your life. Can't get pedals still to, oh, I'm this, I've become this. Yeah. These questions will help you ground on ground zero. Sphere, always you could get sharps. And then you're a pain, the wrong places. Yeah. So the unknown. So what you don't know also helps. The next question is, what next? You've come this far, doing all that stuff. Where to helps? Where to helps? But what next is now, what next is related with where to. Where is amongst the different things, different variety available. So you could have a general direction of things. You could get specific, but if you get specific, the value of where to goes away. It's like the question of where and what. Yeah, there's a little round, there's a little sharp. If you get a little too sharp, you miss the benefit of the round. Get all round, a little vague, you miss benefit of the sharp. So you need the where to. You also need the what next. So you get the specific, that what next? There's a question there, the next. So it's like you've come to a ledge and you could be, oh, here, when you are not on the job, not on the stair, are becoming better. It's like a stairwell. Wellness, your wellness is when you're like a frog in the well, continuing to become well. As you do weller and weller, your space gets better and better. You could get a little sharp, cookie plattered. Yeah, oh, there. But your development, your becoming, from how you are treating others, above you, below, so to speak, affects your own wellness. Because who you are is basically a me, matter plus energy composite within all these different identities. Your identities could be a little sharp, blunt, related, not related, but it affects your me, your matter and energy composition. So the gravitas of the matter is like the Kuiper belt. There's a lot of particles. Not all particles are planets. Some particles have gotten the gravitas well enough to become Earth. And we are still looking for another planet, another ball that has a gravitas of enlivening life in the multiverse, creating life, evolving life to the point that human beings formed over time. And now we're talking all of this. And I'm talking about enlivening life in the multiverse. So if a creature like me has gotten created, what in the world is Earth doing? So what kind of gravitas do you want to have? What kind of a particle do you want to be? So people are talking about all energy, all energy. But Shakti Sadhana is talking about three aspects: Kaula, Mishra, Samaya. Yeah. Kaula is object based, things based. So you could use your phone, use and throw things, versus how you relate with objects also has your life become better or not, depending on your relationship. Things, Kaula, is also how I understand it, because my work is more centered on Samaya. So Kaula is you have a relationship with things, but you could get attached to them. And that has a certain effect. So you have chantings, mantras. So you have your questions, and you could be attached to your answers. You could be attached to the things that becomes possible from them. And that could get you, a little bit. You're a little puppet show. You created them, you have them, and then you're in a little puppet show with them. They are having a control over. Yeah, that could be one thing. Another thing is Mishra, where you relate with objects. And Mishra is where the object and the subject are finely related to. I'll tell what Samaya is, so it becomes easier to understand Mishra. So Samaya is, you could say, time-based, but it's also um, where time and space is related. So it's not object-subject, but time-space. So you'd say software of it. And the Kaula would be like the hardware of it. But they are also related, time, object, subject, time, space related. But you don't relate subject, object the same as time, space. Yeah. And Mishra is where the subject, object, and time, space are in a fine relationship. Yeah. So you could say something in between, this and that. Both is important. Yeah. All the three are important. We eat food. So a relationship with things, with the material world, is just as important. But not getting attached and, all that push-pull, that's also important. You could say time space. You could get quite lost there. Yeah, you could become, we are hearing about light beings, without body. Not that much Samaya. Yeah. So something in between where we have the best of all the three worlds. Yeah. Also called Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Yeah. Trilokya Sundari. Yeah. Make all the three worlds better. which is also what the Sri Chakra is talking about. Yeah. So we have the questions, 14 questions. So what next? These questions don't go out of vogue. Yeah. It is important to pay attention to all of these questions. And improvement is also from saying, oh, is this all fine? Or do you need a little upgrade of any of this? So right now I have these 14 questions. Over time, improved several layers, several levels. I thought, oh, it was whence. The where from was written as whence. Then I was thinking, if I'm going to share this, it's going to sound archaic, and then that'll hijack you into another tangent. So better to use where from than whence. Yeah. It used to be whether to for. From there to where to. Yeah. So what better to say? What better to think from? What better to then what are you leaving behind? What are you taking in? So right now there is these 14 questions. If there's an upgrade in it, I will share. Yeah. So that's also how you make your creatives better. When you're including, if you've tended to exclude something, slowly, slowly, that's also how you make a good dish. It's better to add this ingredient also. Maybe a little less of this little combination. Have a good, nice life. Yeah, that's also original human intelligence. There are several other factors to this. For example, you have movementless yoga. You have, this is one of the course correction aspects of the work, this video. So there's on-table therapy work. So there's healing. There is breathing, movementless yoga, kind of, yeah, breathing. There's loving. So these questions are also coming from the course correction counseling, but it's also loving. It's about how you mature your cares to loves to true love. It's also love, yeah. And then there's living, where you interact with people. How you interact with people. These 14 questions help you to discover, oh, you have these blind spots and what you know, what you don't know. So that's also covered here. The unknown, yeah. So when you're interacting with people, so the quality of your life from who you are, that's again there here. Whom are you interacting with? How are you interacting with? How is the quality of your life? How wholesome is it? Have you included everybody on planet Earth and other planets when life and livings in the multiverse, different. We have so many balls. Yeah, Earth is the only planet that we have discovered has life good enough to support human beings. So how do we know that is not so? Because other planets haven't yet discovered life of Earth's quality. Yeah. So then, do you have space for when people show up there? How are you going to have humanity across boundaries? Across boundaries, yeah. So we are on planet Earth, all family, a big universe. So multiverse, yeah. So we are all talking about communication and receiver messages. It's about trying to connect with the life out there. But how do you know we are once actually growing life? You have WHO's global list of diseases. But how do you know how we are interacting with life helps better improve the quality of life such that WHO's global list of diseases come down? Problems that we're already facing comes down. When you work from these questions, when you work from these paradigms of thinking that I'm calling as original human intelligence, slowly, slowly, we all get to be the humane Lord of the Rings, like the dot in the center of the ShriChakra. Yeah. Then maybe you will see the ShriChakra. There are many other wheels like this. Yeah. So this is one of the wheels. But for example, we have the Ashoka Chakra that also has a dot in the center. That's having 24 spokes, like 24 hours in a day. Yeah. We got lots of wheels. We don't want to, it's a big cake. Yeah. You don't want to eat all of that at once. So one little more so. So I recommend you work on these 14 questions. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, where you may be stuck, or any questions that's there. I'm also actually giving you the questions. Yeah. So you can think from there. If in some way you get a little, because one of the problems I faced is people are not asking questions. So I thought, let me give the questions. So you know where to think from, how to ask a question. So you may be shushed, yeah. But this is also how you decrust from the shushed cookie-tude. Fight, flight, freeze, dissociated, different kinds of trauma coming from. I have questions and where to ask, and this is how my life is, and then people are behaving like this. To slowly being able to bloom out in life without causing trouble to anybody else. So it's like a seed growing out, growing through the different environments, and slowly coming to the surface, and then, yeah, and live in such a way like Earth, this big wide universe, being Earth and not all covered and, like in whales. And then I don't know if other planets are doing that, that they have life and they have a big ball of gas, and so they're under behind whales. And Earth is all, to be there. Yeah. So it's also what it takes to have a life. And in life worth living and inspiring others to, people, you should live like this. It's all really nice. So I hope you find some inspiration, some reason to live a good life. Yeah. Humane, original, humane, intelligent, facilitation life. Now, when you're facilitating, oh, good life. Yeah. Thank you so much for your interest. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.